Okay, so let's understand where exactly are we. So maybe instead of showing you this notepad, let me take you to just give me a minute. I'll first share the Excel sheet, which was a course content. We'll just go there and see what is done and what is pending. Okay, can you see this now?
Yes, Gaurav.
Yeah. Okay, so this was our course content. Let's try to go through each and every topic and understand whether we are done with this or there is something pending. So introduction to SAP HANA, introduction to SAP S4 HANA, in-memory strategy, which means the data will be stored in RAM, architecture. So what is a hardware and what is the RAM requirement, those things we discussed. Row versus column, parallelization, that is multiple things can be done at once, and HANA calculation engine. Okay, so maybe I don't need to go in through all these details, but just let's go through and see if there is anything. If you think that this is something which we have not discussed, or maybe you forgot, you want me to go through it again, no problem. Just tell me that okay, we just don't remember this particular point, so can you just explain it? Okay, and then we had introduction to SAP S4 HANA, where we understand the SAP S4 HANA roadmap. So I told you how this thing started. We started with SAP HANA in year 2011, and after that 2011 in 12, 13, 14, 15, through the series of iterations, SAP came up with SAP Simple Finance first, then they came up with SAP S4 HANA 1511, then 1610, then 1709, and today we are on 1809. Right, so that was a roadmap. What are the key pillars of SAP S4 HANA? There are three key pillars. Number one, SAP HANA database. Number two, SAP Fiori user interface. And number three is simplified processes. Okay, so what your financial processes, those we understood, that is the third key pillar. So SAP HANA as a database, SAP Fiori as a user interface, and simplified processes. These are the three key pillars of SAP S4 HANA. And then at the higher level, we understood the simplified processes, like what has been simplified. We already discussed AP and AR, there are no simplifications. What has been simplified is asset accounting has been simplified, a reconciliation has been simplified, ledger concept has been simplified, right? So those things we understood in the simplified processes. Then we discussed the principle of one, where we discussed what are the benefits of SAP S4 HANA from the business perspective. If you remember in second or third session, we discussed the business users, how they will be benefited with SAP S4 HANA, and IT users, how they will be benefited with S4 HANA. Okay, then you have ways from business suite to SAP S4 HANA. Do you remember which are the three ways? Can you answer this? Which are the three ways from which you can go to S4 HANA? Three different scenarios, if you remember.
System,
Yes. Yes,
new
Akash.
implementation,
Yes.
migration, and SLT, system landscape.
Right. So new implementation, migration is called as system conversion, and then you have LT, landscape transformation. So we discussed those. Deployment options, we discussed what is the difference between on-premise and on cloud. We're not written that. On cloud and hybrid. So there was one small session where we discussed how on-premise is better or how on cloud is better, right? So those things we discussed in those of the theoretical sessions. And the last session, which we had theoretically, is SAP Activate methodology, right? Again, this different scenarios means the same thing, ways of moving to S4 HANA, system conversion, landscape transformation, new implementation, and phases in Activate methodology. So we understood how Activate methodology is different than the SAP methodology that we were using from years. What are the different phases? What are the activities that we need to do in each and every phase? And then I shown you best practice content as well as the what of that? The best practices, number one, and second is Fiori apps library, which I showed you. Right? And then we had the overview to new functionalities in SAP Simple Finance, what is in Universal Journal. So these are the topics which we discussed in practical. Okay, so Universal Journal table, what is ECDOC table, what is ECDOC ledger, Universal Journal configuration, parallel currency configuration, unified master data of GL and cost element. So GL and cost element were different, now they are unified. We understood what is the purpose of appendix or extension ledger. We also understood what is the difference between account-based and ledger-based approach. We discussed that from controlling point of view, there are 3-4 new configurations. We have a new document type CO, okay, which needs to be assigned to the CO transaction. So that is nothing but CO document mapping variant. And then within asset accounting, we understood how the new asset accounting is different. We discussed that now it is possible to post real time in multiple depreciation areas, and there is no need of delta areas anymore. We understood the technical clearing account concept, where the document, whenever you post the acquisition entry, whenever you uh, post the asset purchase entry, earlier only one document was created, but in S/4HANA, it is divided into two parts. What are those two parts? Document type AA and document type KR. So what is document type KR and what is document type AA? Remember? First one is operational and second one is valuation specific, right? First one is operational, which is KR. Document type KR is operational document, which is posted in each and every ledger. And second is valuation specific, which is different for each accounting principle, right? So that is the reason we are using technical clearing account. See, whatever topics you are able to see here, these are very important questions from the interviews perspective also, if you are appearing in the interviews, because these are the new things which I have mentioned here. So definitely, if you are telling the your interviewer that I know SAP S/4HANA, first question he will ask you is what is new in S/4HANA. So you have to tell him that okay, in the new asset accounting there is a concept of dividing the uh, one document into operational and valuation specific using the technical clearing account, or maybe you can say the extension ledger is a new functionality which is available. Reconciliation point you can raise. Okay, so whatever you are raising, there will be more number of questions which will come. So you need to be very prepared on whatever at least things which are available here. Then you have integrated asset acquisition. We have seen the complete cycle, how to acquire the asset. So operational versus valuation specific posting, how it is done. Simplified asset lifecycle. We created an asset, we purchased the asset, we retired the asset, and we also posted the depreciation runs, right? So simplified asset lifecycle and simplified depreciation postings. Then from COPA point of view, we understood that there are two types of COPA. One is account based and second is costing based. In costing based, there is no change. In account based, there are changes. So those simplifications which we discussed, we created the operating concern. We assigned some what are those characteristics to our operating concern, and then we activated the account based COPA for our company code, and then we posted some documents, and we have seen that the data is flowing to table ACDOC in case of COPA also, right? Then we had COGS split, where we discussed one scenario. I shown you one document where the COGS was earlier only having one line. Okay, so normally when you do the PGI, when you deliver the sales order, COGS account is debited. But if I want to bifurcate this COGS into materials, labor, and all, that was not possible in accounts till now. It was only possible in costing based COPA. But now, with the use of the COGS split, in account based COPA also, we can get the COGS split. We also discussed about simplified material ledger. I told you material ledger functionality was not mandatory earlier, but now it has become mandatory in SAP S/4HANA, right? So we already activated the material ledger for our company code, and we tried to create one transaction also, right? Because otherwise, if you don't activate the material ledger, system will not allow you to do any kind of transaction in the materials management, materials movement in short. Then we discussed what are SAP Fiori apps. I think upper itself we discussed what was there in SAP Fiori apps. So we understood that SAP has provided a new user interface which can be accessed from mobiles, from tabs, and anywhere, wherever, whichever device you are using. On top of that, we discussed about the roles in SAP Fiori. So if I open the SAP Fiori screen, it may happen that uh, in the SAP Fiori screen, I'm able to see only some of the transactions. But let's say I'm not able to see the other transactions. Let's say I'm only able to see accounts payable. Why I'm not able to see accounts receivable? Because it might happen that the role which is assigned to my user ID is only related to accounts payable. So we understood the concept of how this role concept works. What is a role? What is a group? What is a catalog? Okay, so if you don't remember that, please go through these sessions again and again till the time you are comfortable in answering such questions. Because just by going through the session and then if you forgot many points, then definitely it is not going to work. I want you to go through each and every session, and maybe if you want, I can also arrange some of the kind of dummy interviews so that you know what kind of questions are asked in the interviews. And also, whoever is planning to appear in the certification exam, please get in touch, because I can also help you in what type of questions are asked in the exams. Or even if you want to register for the exam, if you're finding it difficult to register in the exam, I can help you there also. Then we have this central finance, where we discussed SLT and we discussed master data governance. So we discussed central finance is one of the example of landscape transformation, where you have multiple SAP systems which you want to convert. Okay, and that is the reason, instead of closing all those systems, you will continue to use both the systems. So through SLT replication server, you will replicate the data from your source system, which can be SAP or non-SAP system, to SAP S4HANA system. Okay, and this is the topic. These are the two things which we are going to discuss today. So I think these are the only two things which are left. Let's go and see if there is anything more left. We already started with migration. We discussed the how to migrate to SAP Simple Finance. We already discussed that there are 5 phases: preparation, installation, data configuration, data migration, and post migration. Okay, so we discussed about the migration methodology, which consists of 5 phases. We discussed about the migration tools. I think I have not written all tools here. So we discussed what is maintenance planner. I told you these are the basis tools. Basis team will be using these tools to verify that whether the system is ready to be migrated or not. So custom code analyzer, which will tell you which of your custom codes, Z reports will be impacted. And then you have some SUM, which is software update manager. Okay, we discussed what are the prerequisites of migrating to SAP S4HANA. Installation part, migration cockpit. What is migration cockpit? If you go to the server, if you see this server in SPRO MG, so this one, conversion of accounting to SAP S4HANA, this folder is called as migration cockpit. Okay, which consists of 3 different phases: data configuration, data migration, and post migration. Right, so data config, data migration, and activities after migration. Right, this is migration cockpit. We discussed about migration of master data. So as I told you, SAP has provided some reports, or SAP has provided some programs in the migration cockpit which will migrate the data of the master data as well as transactional data. Configuration of new functionalities. We discussed whatever new functionalities need to be configured. For example, if you want to change your ledger settings, if you want to create the CO document mapping variant, that you have to do here in delta config. Where is that? Yeah, configuration of new functionalities. Migration from classic, migration from new GL. Let me just highlight those. We already discussed this, but I want to go into more detail on these two things. Migration to new asset accounting, we discussed. Post migration activities and setting migration to complete. So these things also we already covered. And then some of the topics which are not directly related to finance, but these are new in S4HANA. So overview to simple logistics. So what are the new functionalities? We already discussed the architectural change in inventory management. This is nothing but material ledger. We already discussed that earlier in inventory management, there were tables MKPF and MSEC. Now there is a new table called as, or maybe instead of material ledger, let's call it as a new table, which is MATDOC, material document table. Okay. Then you have this FSCM credit management. We already discussed this also. I shown you FD32 will not work as it was working earlier. That will be changed with FSCM credit management. Right, we discussed again this material ledger part we discussed above also. So material ledger is mandatory, which has to be activated, otherwise you'll not be able to do any of the materials valuation. Then you have business partner approach. We already created some business partners. We discussed that without creating the business partners, we cannot create customers and vendors as we were doing in ECC. And last one is MRP lab, which is pending. So with this, 1, 2. So these are the 5 topics that we are left with. Okay, so we'll start from here. We will go in the flow. This is just 5 minutes of job, and even this is not much relevant for you, and that is the reason I'll just give you the overview. So most of our session will concentrate on these 2 topics, and then towards the end we will close this and this. So let's see if we are able to complete everything today. If not, we will continue from where we left today. Okay, so anything else that you think which was not discussed, or maybe you want it to be discussed in little more details or something like that, please let me know, so accordingly we will plan. If not now, what we are going to do, if you remember, I told you that after the last session, maybe today or tomorrow, whatever will be our last session, I will give you 15 days of time. In those 15 days, you need to go through all the videos, all the PPTs that I shared with you. Okay, and after this 15 days, we will have one more session where you can raise your doubts. And again, after 3 to 4 days, there will be one round of discussion. There will be one round of dummy interviews for you, as well as the there will be one test which will check your knowledge of how exactly you understood these concepts. Okay, so let's start from here. Overview to cash management and integrated business planning. Any questions before I go ahead? Anything you want to add? Question? Okay. So when we say SAP S/4HANA, okay, this is a, what is full form of SAP S/4HANA?
Shoot for HANA.
Yeah, SAP Business Suite for SAP HANA. Okay. Now within SAP S/4HANA, there are 3 different areas, right? Even in SAP ECC also. We have finance area, we have logistics area, and we have HR area. Right, so these are the 3 areas that you will find in any business suite. It may be SAP ECC or it may be SAP S/4HANA. So now, can you tell me what are the things that are available in finance? What are the different functionalities which are available in finance? Related to finance. Anyone?
Repeat again.
Sorry, Akash.
Repeat.
I'm saying what are the functionalities in SAP ECC or SAP S/4HANA which are related to finance? What are the functionalities SAP provide? Anyone wants to answer this? So maybe if I take you here, so you can see this is my easy access. Okay, so here you have logistics, you have accounting, and this is human resource. So these are the main three areas, even in ECC also. Right, this insurance and all, this is something which is industry specific, right? So mainly in any SAP system, you will find logistics, you will find accounting, and you will find human resource. So maybe instead of finance, I can just write accounting here. Okay, just to correlate exactly with what is available here. So within accounting, we have financial accounting, we have FSCM, we have controlling, project system, joint venture accounting, lot of different things, right? So at the higher level, let's not go into each and everything, but at least at the higher level, we have financial accounting, sorry. Yeah, we have financial accounting, we have controlling, and we have FSCM. Okay, so we are not going into that much detail because other things are normally not used. When I say normally, I mean most of the customers, they don't use these functionalities. There are some customers only who are using this project system and all, but otherwise all the functionalities are obsolete. Obsolete means they were used earlier, but now nobody is using that. Within logistics, we have we have SD, we have PP. Okay, similarly within HR, we have attendance, we have payroll, we have leave management, right? So these are the different things. Okay, so we don't need to worry about this other two things because we are not going to focus on here. Okay, now let's talk about accounting. Within accounting, see, we just assume that financial accounting is only the thing that is available in SAP. When we say accounting, accounting is not only financial accounting. Accounting is financial accounting, it is controlling, it is FSCM. Even if you go beyond your business suite, then the related functionalities are also BPC. BPC also the related functionality. Maybe the server is different, but it still comes within the accounting. So when SAP is saying that they simplified accounting, they are not saying they simplified finance. They simplified accounting. So what they simplified in accounting, there are three things that they simplified in accounting. Number one is financial accounting and controlling. They are calling it as one. Why? Because financial accounting and controlling are no more two separate subcomponents. They are one and same thing in S4HANA. Number two, they simplified FSCM. And number three, they simplified is BPC. Okay, so as a FICO consultant, normally we are only worried about these points, right? Because whenever you are going to work on SAP S4HANA, if you are a FICO consultant, you will be responsible for activities which are in and around financial accounting and controlling. If you are a FSCM consultant, financial supply chain management consultant, then you will be worried about what is new in FSCM. And if you are a BPC consultant, then you need to understand in detail what is the difference in BPC. Okay, but since we are all FICO consultants, our main intention is we understood all the things which are new in financial accounting and controlling. But SAP has not made the simplifications only into this. They made some simplifications in FSCM and they made some simplifications in BPC, which at least we should have a understanding of what is changed. We don't need to go into detail and see how this FSCM, because we don't know anything about FSCM. Okay, so for example, if I tell you disputes and collection management, you will say, I don't know how it was working in ECC, then how can I learn directly in S4HANA? First, you need to understand what are disputes, what are collections, then only you'll be able to understand FSC. Similarly, if I just tell you what is new in BPC, you will again ask me the question that I don't know how BPC works. I never worked on BPC, BWM components, right? And that is the reason we just skip the introduction to these two topics, because this is for someone who is already FSCM consultant and if he want to upgrade his knowledge to financial supply chain management in SAP S4HANA. So what is new thing in FSCM? They call it as cash management powered by HANA. And for BPC, they came up with something called as integrated business planning. Okay, so we need to understand these two topics, just the overview. What exactly is cash management powered by HANA and what exactly is BPC? So These functionalities are not new functionalities. They were available in ECC also. BPC is also available and FSCM is also available. But what they have done in FSCM is they provided simple to use screens on SAP Fiori. First thing. Okay, first thing is from the cache management point of view, there are a lot of simplifications made on the user screens. Okay, and second thing is some changes in bank account management, which is very important for us. Bank account management. We'll talk about what is bank account management shortly. Okay, now within BPC, what changes they have made? Within BPC, what is BPC? Can you tell me the full form? Anyone?
Business process and consolidation.
And consolidation.
Business process. Akash, what you said?
Just planning and consolidation.
It's
Planning and
planning.
consolidation.
Yes, it's planning and consolidation. Okay, so as the word itself says, it is planning and consolidation. What is planning? Planning means whatever plannings you do. For example, you want to plan your profit or you want to plan your revenues. So normally what we do in controlling or VBFI also, at the beginning of the year, we create the yearly plans. Okay, let's talk about this in detail. So your CEO provided you yearly plans for different products. Okay, so CEO is telling you that these are my yearly plans. Let's say for these two products, product A, we want to do the revenue of 1,000. It can be quantity or it can be value. So let's say 1,000 million or 1,000 billion, $1,000 billion. Product B, the plan is to have the revenue of $2,000 billion. And product C, we have 5,000 billion dollars. So this is our planned value. So at the beginning of the year, your CEO says that we want to make this much revenue. Now, once the CEO has given you these plans, this will be divided for product A. Now, total 1,000 billion is a target. I may now have two different locations. So plant one has a target of $500 million, and again same product A for plant 2 has a target of another $500 billion. Okay, so this is how the planning takes place in the organization. Can you tell me what is this kind of planning? Is it top down planning or is it bottom up planning? There are mainly two types of plannings, top down planning and bottom up planning. So what do you think? What is this? Here CEO is giving you plans.
Top
So
down.
this is the top down planning, right? Because CEO is giving you the planning results that I want this much, and then you divide to the down level products to the plants and all, right? If it is like your shop floor is giving you the plans and ultimately it is getting consolidated and the CEO is accepting that plan, that is called as a bottom up approach. Okay, but irrespective, because this is something which is not a new thing, even in ECC also this is working like this. But only thing is, in ECC, in order to enter this planning figures, these planning figures we cannot enter in SAP ECC. Is there any place in SAP ECC where I can go and I can plan this information like this for plant 1, product A, this, let's say 5 to 6 different dimensions? Do I have any screen in SAP ECC where I can enter this plan results? In SAP ECC, it only allows you the basic planning like cost center planning, profit center planning. But if you want the planning into different levels like product A, plant 1, or maybe salesperson 1, maybe region 1, okay, so in that case, that is not available here. So normally for that, we use this business planning component, which will be used for the planning purpose. But the problem is, if we are using this business planning and consolidation BPC module, What we need to do is the planning figures will be available in BPC. This planning figures you will enter in BPC, but actual values will come from financial accounting, ECC. Right? Let me show you here. So this is your BPC system where you are entering the planning figures. Okay, and then from ECC you are getting the actual figures. And again, for reporting purpose, you will do the reporting plan versus actual. This reports will be available in again BPC. So in BPC you have plan versus actual report. So what is happening? Every now and then you need to transfer the data from BPC to ECC, from ECC to BPC. So there is no one system. These are two different systems. Data is not real time. It may happen that the data from BPC to ECC is only going once in a month, or even ECC is sending the data to BPC once in a month. So the problem is we are not getting the plan versus actual values in real time if we are not using SAP IBP. What is the purpose of SAP IBP now? In SAP IBP, we don't need this BPC tool at all. This will be replaced with IBP. So IBP for finance. Okay. So planning figures you will enter in IBP for finance, and even this has been replaced with S4HANA, right? So the very important thing is in IBP for finance, this is embedded. Embedded means there is no separate system. Embedded within S4HANA. Okay, so you don't need a separate component. IBP is already available within SAP S4HANA itself. So planning, actual, everything is available in one single system, and you are getting the insights, reports in real time. Right? That is the purpose of using this integrated business planning tool. Integrated business planning will allow you to do the planning as well as actuals in the same system without the need of a separate BPC environment. You don't need a separate BPC system if your planning and actual results are available in one single system. So this is about planning. What about consolidation? What do you mean by consolidation? Consolidation means if you are using multiple different company codes. So let's say this is what I'm explaining is consolidation. So let's say I have 3 different company codes. Okay, so in my ECC system, I am getting company 1 made profit of 12,000 million dollar. Okay, company 2 made profit of 1,000 million dollar. Okay, these are just the rough figures, and I'm just explaining the very basic feature of consolidation. Now if I want to consolidate my result, okay, I want to see the profit at the group level. Okay, maybe even I'll add company 3 also. So company 3 got the profit of 10,000 million dollar. Okay, so in order to summarize this, in order to summarize and create a one single profit and loss statement for the entire group, we use consolidation module. Okay, but let me tell you, there is no change in consolidation in SAP S4HANA. This consolidation will still take place only on BPC because integrated business planning is just providing you planning functionality embedded. Okay, if you want consolidation, then you have to still use BPC system as a standalone system. Okay, so please remember, BPC has 2 features, planning and consolidation. There is no change in consolidation, but in planning, BPC was used as a separate component. Now for planning, SAP has provided integrated business planning tool, which is embedded within S4HANA, and that is the reason if you only want to use planning, there is no need of using BPC. You can just use the IBP and it will be done. But if you want consolidation, then consolidation cannot be achieved on IBP. You have to still use BPC. Any question here? Have you understood now what is IBP, how it is different from BPC, and whether it can be completely replaced or not? So maybe somebody can ask you, if I go for IBP, is it like I don't need BPC at all? So the answer should be IBP allows the embedded planning functionality which was available in BPC as a separate component. But if you want to use consolidation, or maybe if you want to use the advanced features of BPC which are still not available in the embedded version of IBP, then yes, you can continue to use BPC also. Okay, but if you are using the planning functionalities which are already provided by SAP in embedded IBP, there is no need of going for BPC separately. Okay, one last thing. This BPC, if you are using, it is separately chargeable, right? SAP charges separately for BPC component. But now if IBP is available within the S4HANA itself, does it mean that I don't need to buy the license for IBP? IBP, even if you are using within SAP S4HANA, if you are using advanced features, there may be some licensing cost involved. Okay, so IBP is not also coming for free. IBP also have the licenses. Now, what licenses are required according to the which customer's requirement? Accordingly, SAP will charge that customer. Okay, so why I'm explaining this licensing and all? Because sometimes in the interviews they ask you, okay, so you are saying BPC has been replaced with IBP. So for BPC, customer was charged. There were licenses. Do you mean for IBP there are no licenses? So this question is very open. Okay, you don't have the direct answer. Just tell the interviewer that many functionalities are available in IBP. So if you want to use advanced functionalities, then it would be chargeable. You have to buy the license. But if you just want to use the basic planning functionalities, for that, there is no licensing cost involved. Okay, now which functionalities are included in the basic version, advanced version, nobody is going to ask you. But again, if somebody is asking you that question, then the answer should be it depends. There are a lot of factors. Okay, so according country to country also there are a lot of changes in the licensing. Okay, so in some of the countries it is completely free, in some of the countries it is chargeable, so you cannot answer on that. Okay, so any question on IBP? Akash, Mahesh, Sandeep, anything? You understood what is IBP now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now let's go to the next one, which is cache management powered by SAP HANA, which I told you there are two things. One first thing again is not very much relevant to us. So there are new screens available, which will be Fiori based screens, which will be used for cache management related process. But what we are interested in this one, some changes in bank account management. So if you remember earlier also we discussed in one of the session, I told you how you normally create a bank is not same in SAP S4HANA. So the first one is normally we create a bank account. So if I go to FI01, here I create a bank country and bank key. So let's say I want to create bank country IN and bank country, let's say ICICI. So I think ICICI is already created. So I'm just using ICI. This is ICICI. Okay, I'm not maintaining all these addresses. Let's click on save. So FI01 is still available, using which you can create a bank. Second one, what we normally do is once FI01 is created, we go to FI12. If you go to FI12 now, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Gaurav.
Yeah, I think system got stuck. Let's try another screen. So FI12. See, if you try FI12, you are getting this error. Now, if you remember some five, six sessions earlier, I was also trying to show you the same thing. I opened FI12 and I was saying you that there will be some error, but there was no error, right? The reason was we were using 1809 system. Now currently the system that I'm showing you is 1709, just to tell you the difference. Okay, in 1709 or till 1709, starting from 1503, 1511, 1610, 1709, FI12 transaction is no more available. Okay, you cannot use transaction FI12. In order to create a bank account, you have to just click here and it will tell you how to create a bank account. So transaction FI12 is no longer available for maintaining house banks and bank accounts. And it is asking you to maintain the house bank, go to Fiori Launchpad and open the Manage Banks app. Okay, so you only can create a bank account using SAP Fiori. But if you only want to create a house bank, then there is another transaction, new transaction, which was not available till now. FI12 underscore H bank. Okay, so here if you just provide your company code, maybe SF01. Okay, so you can see there is no house bank created as of now. If I want to create a new house bank, let's click on new house bank. Let's say again ICICI. Bank country IN and bank key, which we just now created, was ICI. Okay, again, let's try to save this. So now we created a house bank. Only difference is in ECC, house bank was created using transaction FI12. Now in S4HANA, FI12 is not available. It has been replaced with FI12 underscore H bank. But the thing is, after creating the house bank, we normally create the bank accounts. Right? In the same transaction FI12, we normally have the bank account option. But here it is not showing you bank account. So how are you going to create the bank accounts? That is only possible via SAP Fiori. SAP Fiori is the only way to create the bank accounts in SAP S4HANA. Okay, so how are you going to create? Which Fiori app you will be using? So before that, let me log in into SAP Fiori. So if you remember, I shown you how to log into SAP Fiori. Either your Fiori consultant will provide you some link which will connect to the Fiori server directly. If not, you can try one transaction, which is /UI2/FLP. Okay, /UI2/FLP, just press enter. If it is not working, try this one, go to SE93. Yeah, so /UI2/FLP and just click on execute. Okay, you can see this SAP Fiori screen has been opened now. Okay, this is my SAP Fiori screen. Now, within SAP Fiori screen, this is called as a launchpad because it is showing you all different tabs for which you have the authorization. So for example, why I'm not able to see anything related to materials management? Because my user ID is only assigned to the roles related to accountant, right? So if I want to maintain the house bank, I have to go to the proper group here. So I think it is under bank relationship. Yes, you can see in the bank relationship, you have managed bank accounts. Okay, you have managed banks. So let's go to the managed bank account. This is a transaction. This is a Fiori app which will be used to create the bank accounts. So let's click on manage bank accounts. Okay, you can see these are the different bank accounts which are already created. If you want to create a new one, what you can do is you can just click on this plus button. Okay, so see, now it is allowing you to enter the account details of the bank. So let's say my account number is 1234567 bank country or account ID is ICICI 1234567 bank country IN and bank key. Okay, maybe I need to select. Okay, so IN and bank key is ICI. Account currency you have to specify here. So let's say this is INR. Okay, company code, for which company code are you creating this? So let's say I'm creating this for SF01. Now this account type is a new field. In ECC, we don't have account type field. So normally whenever you create a bank account, the bank account is either the saving bank, current bank account, right? These are the types of account types. So here you will get the list of all the account types which are provided by SAP: current account, deposit account, loan account. Okay, so let's say this is nothing but our current account. Okay, bank number, this is just for the information purpose if you want to provide something. Account holder, who is the owner of this account? So let's say Mr. ABC is a owner of this particular bank account. IBAN, which is again not a new functionality. Even in ECC, you have the IBAN and all. If you want to maintain, if you want to assign the profit center segment, that also can be maintained. Okay, so once this is done, what you need to do is you need to come here in connectivity path. This is important. Okay, you can directly come through this also. What do you mean by connectivity path? So we just created the bank account, but which house bank will be responsible for this bank account? Right, so what we need to do is we need to go to connectivity path, click on new. Okay, and this is where we have to assign it to the house bank. Okay, so you can see we are assigning this to our house bank ICICI. Okay, so just click on apply, and then let's go and save this. It is asking for house bank account ID. Okay, I think I have not provided that. Let's go to connectivity path once again. Yeah, we have to provide this house bank account ID. So let's say this is again ICICI, or maybe let's give the number 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Sorry, only 5 characters it will allow. So whatever you want to provide, let's say ICI 1. Save. So there is some warning. Bank ICI in country is not added to the bank hierarchy. This is completely fine. And no payment signatory is maintained. So even in ECC, there was no option of payment signatory. What is payment signatory? Payment signatory means who is authorized to make the payment from this bank account. Right? That also can be maintained if you want to. So just close this as of now. This is optional. And then now if you go, you can see account status is active. So this bank account has been created now. So this bank account now can be used wherever you want. Okay, so for example, if I go back and try to make some payment, or maybe if I go to F110, sorry, not F110, for configuration of automatic payment, FBZP, and if I go to this bank determination, okay, I'm just trying to show you now this bank account will be available. You can use in whatever payments, whatever receipts you want to make. So in short, first let me complete this. So let's go for company code SF01. Just give me a minute. Yeah, so I think our company code is not appearing here, SF01. No, maybe I'll use any other. That is not a problem, because otherwise I have to do the configuration for that particular company code. So paying company code is 0001. If I go to ranking order, okay, so you can see this house bank and you can see this house bank account. So currently I'm in 0001, so I'll not be able to use my house bank account which I created. But if I try to do it for SF01, then definitely it will appear. So let's try if I'm able to create something for my company code. So new SF01. There is no change in automatic payment program setup. So FBZP, F110, these are all AP related transactions where there is no change at all. Okay, quickly I'll just maintain this company codes here so that I'm able to show you the bank accounts. So let's go back, and now let's go to the bank determination. Okay, so SF01, let's go to ranking order, new. So you can see now this bank is coming here, right? So we were able to successfully create this bank account, which is not possible without the use of Fiori app. Okay, so you have to use Fiori app in order to create the bank account. So these bank accounts, which were part of the normal FI till now this component of SAP Fiori, which is allowing you to create the bank accounts, has been moved to this new component of SAP Cash Management powered by HANA. So within SAP Cash Management powered by HANA, there is one component called as Bank Account Management, using which we have to create the bank accounts. So that is the only difference. In SAP ECC, we were able to create the bank accounts in normal FI component. But now in SAP S4HANA, in order to create the bank accounts, we have to use Cash Management powered by HANA within that bank account management, where there is only one app, Manage Bank Accounts, which is part of this component. We have to use that app to create the bank accounts. Instead of FI12, we'll be using transaction FI12 underscore HBank to create the house bank. And for creating the bank account, we will be using Manage Bank Account. So let me summarize this, what we have seen till now. So in ECC, in order to create a bank account, there were 3 steps. Number 1, create a bank, okay, where you provide bank country and bank key, right, using transaction FI01. Once this is done, the second thing was you have to use transaction FI12 to create a house bank. And number 3 was within FI12 itself, there was no separate transaction for this. Within FI12 itself, there was create bank account. See, there is a difference between create bank and create bank account. Create bank is you are creating ICICI Bank, but within ICICI Bank, there can be a lot of different bank accounts, right? So this is create bank accounts, right? So create bank, create house bank, and finally create bank accounts. Now in S4HANA, the first step is same. So create the bank using bank country and all using transaction FI01. This is same. But if you go to the next step, instead of using FI12, you will be using FI12 underscore HBank for creating the house banks. And again, in order to create the bank accounts, instead of using this FI12 once again, you'll be using a Fiori app called as Manage Bank Accounts. Okay, so this particular thing can be done only via SAP Fiori. There is no such transaction like FI12 in SAP S4HANA. Okay, so this is the app which we are talking about, the bank accounts. So if you just go back, you can see this is Manage Bank Account, and this is a plus button where you can create a new bank account. Okay, let me also tell you 1 or 2 things. Import and export the bank accounts. Now, see, if you want to create only one bank account, this is okay. You'll create one. But let's say you are trying to do the new implementation project, and there are thousands of bank accounts which customer has already. So you are not going to create all those thousands of bank accounts one by one. What you can do is you can just go to import and export the bank accounts. Okay, just go to this import and export bank accounts. Here you will be able to download the template. This app will allow you, let's see if it is opening. Oh, I think it is not working in this server. Let's try once again. No, there is some problem. This app is not working correctly. So, okay, let me explain what this will do. So import and export bank accounts, when you open this app, it will allow you to download the template. It is the Excel template which is provided by SAP itself. So you download that template, you fill the data in that template. So whatever 1,000 banks accounts you have, you fill that template properly and then upload, import that template again, and system will automatically create thousands of bank accounts here. So instead of creating one account at a time, you can use this import and export bank accounts to import multiple bank accounts from your legacy system. Okay, so even we are doing the same thing in our projects. We are using this import and export bank accounts to load the data into the system. Okay, any question on this now? So you understood what is bank account management in cash management powered by SAP HANA. Okay, very important. Whenever you'll be working on any project, this is something which you need to know, right? Otherwise, you'll not be able to create any bank account. So how are you going to configure APP and all if you don't have the banks at all? Any questions on this?
Yes, Gaurav, Sandeep here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Gaurav, in 1809 version, we seen FI12 is working, right?
Right. Yes.
But for the later on part, creating the bank account, so is there like the same way we need to follow in 1809 also?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So as I told you, in 1809, SAP has again made this available, but this is only for looking. Even in 1809, there is, in order to create the bank accounts, you have to go through the Fiori app only. Only thing is this one, FI12 underscore HBank, SAP has provided FI12 once again. So let me show you. Just give me a minute. Let me show you in 1809. So we have seen in 1709, whenever we are trying to open HBank, we are getting the error. But in this one, now this FI12 is once again made available. But that is again just to create the house banks, no bank accounts. Let's see. Okay, this is 1812. So if I go to FI12, see here it is not throwing that error. It is allowing you to create the bank account. I think it is not even allowing to create. It is just for the display purpose. Yes, this is just for the display purpose. Sorry. So in order to create, you have to still go to FI12 underscore HBank, I think. Let's see. FI12 underscore HBank. See. So here it is allowing you to edit. But FI12, which was earlier not available at all, now it is available, but it is only for the display purpose, where it will show you which house banks are created within a particular company code and which bank accounts they are aligned to. Okay, but you will not be able to, you can see here, just give me a minute. I think even the new entries are available because 1809, we already upgraded. So it was not from scratch. So I have not tried this on the practical system, but let's try it here itself. So we created company code SF01. Let's directly go to SF01. If I go to house banks and let's create, okay, this one we already created, right? And now within this, if I want to create the bank account, see, it is only read access. So if I go to help, it will tell me to go for manage bank accounts. You are tempted to access data which cannot be changed. This data can only be displayed. The system has rejected the request process mode and switched to display mode. So in short, continue using the same transactions that I told you, FI12 underscore HBank and manage bank accounts. Only thing is this FI12 is available here just for the display purpose. Right, Sandeep? You understood this? Any other question?
It will show also bank account also, right, in display mode?
Yes, it is showing the bank account, but it is only read access. It is not allowing you to.
Okay,
So if
yeah.
I go to house bank, if the house bank is maintained, maybe if I go to SF01 once again. Okay, and if I go to bank accounts, and within this, if I go to bank accounts, see, it is only read access. So it is just showing you how many bank accounts are created for this, but this will be coming from the manage bank account itself, because this particular thing you will be only able to manage through manage bank apps. Okay.
Yes, Gaurav, fine.
Okay. So any other question on bank account management?
Yes, Gaurav, Sandeep here again. So in bank segment, in ECC also like have configuration for check lot, right?
Mhm.
And something called remittation kind of things like creating the check or all those things.
Mhm.
So is it same here also, or is there any changes in S4HANA?
No, all other things are same, Sandeep. Only thing is only the maintenance you have to do through these two transactions, one of the Fiori app, but otherwise whatever things, the GLs that you were creating, the GL assignment that you were doing, if you are maintaining the check lots, all those things are available as it is. So the old transactions are available for the check management also.
Okay, Gaurav, we are fine.
Even APP I told you, FD ZP is also the same thing. There is no change at all. Okay, so now let me go to my WordPad. Okay, here. So yes, we discussed about bank accounts. Now we are left with three more things. Number one, migration from classic GL accounting versus migration from new GL accounting. Okay, so there is only one slide. We already discussed this earlier also. I think Mahesh asked this question earlier. So we already discussed, but I told you I'll show you this in detail. So just give me a minute. Let me open one of the slide. Let me open that. I have to search for that file. Just give me a minute. Sorry. Yes, I got it. Okay, let me know if you are able to see the screen once again. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Gaurav.
Okay, so this is a slide which I'm talking about. So what we need to discuss is, see, if our customer is already using new GL accounting and they want to go for S4 HANA, it is very straightforward, right? Because if they are using new GL accounting, they might be already using document splitting, parallel ledgers, and all those functionalities, right? But let's say if my customer is still using classic GL accounting, okay, and now they want to go for SAP S4 HANA. So there are two options. You can see there are two options. One is directly from classic GL accounting, they can go to S4 HANA. Okay, so no new GL accounting in between. From classic GL directly to new GL accounting. Sorry, from classic GL directly to S4 HANA accounting. Second option is from classic GL first go to new GL in ECC itself, and then from new GL go to the SAP S4 HANA accounting. Okay, so what is the recommended approach? Now it depends upon a lot of different factors. So what SAP recommends is don't wait. Directly go from classic GL accounting to SAP S4 HANA accounting. But the problem is if you directly go from classic GL accounting, then you will not be able to use the new GL functionalities like additional ledgers, okay, introduction of document splitting. So you can see these are subsequent optimizations. This means you have to perform these activities later. So if you directly go from classic GL accounting to SAP S4 HANA accounting, you will not be able to use additional ledgers, you will not be able to use document splitting. These things you have to activate separately later on after you go to S4 HANA accounting. On the other hand, if you are already using classic GL accounting, before you go to S4 HANA, activate the new GL accounting. Activate parallel ledgers if you want, activate document splitting you want, then you go to S4 HANA. Okay, so according to me, I think I will recommend to go with this option. But why SAP is recommending this option then? Why SAP is saying this one? Because this particular thing can be done at any period end. Okay, so let's say currently February is going on. Okay, now if my customer is Indian customer and they are using classic GL accounting and they want to go for SAP S4 HANA accounting. So in that case, if I ask the customer that okay, in the March end, year end, because the new GL accounting is only possible at any fiscal year end. So what I can tell the customer that okay, in the March end, we will first go to new GL accounting, and then maybe April, May, June, we can plan for S4 HANA accounting. Okay, but what if we are already in mid of May and the year end will be done after 8 to 9 months? So for 8 to 9 months, customer need to wait, right? Because if he wants to go for new GL accounting first, he needs to wait for 8 to 9 months in order to move from classic to new GL. And then at any period end, you can do S4 HANA accounting. So why SAP is recommending this approach? Customer don't need to wait. They can go to from classic GL to S4 HANA accounting at any period end. So even if a customer is interested to go for S4 HANA in February end or March end, they can go without any restriction. But in this case, if you first want to go for new GL accounting, this is only possible at the fiscal year end. Okay, but still this is better because you will be able to utilize all the benefits once you are in S4 HANA. Here, even though you are moving from classic GL to S4 HANA accounting, but still there are a lot of restrictions because you are not able to use subsequent ledgers, you are not able to use document splitting. Then what is the point going to S4 HANA? Right, but again it depends upon customer to customer, so maybe we need to guide the customers like which is a better approach according to their business scenarios, and they will decide whether they want to go for this one or they want to go for this one. So I think this question, Mahesh, we last time you raised this question, and even before that Akash also was working on one of the proposal where customer asked what exactly would be the benefits if I go from classic GL to new GL now, and later on if I go to S4 HANA. So is it beneficial? Right? So definitely it is beneficial if a customer has not yet decided. Let's say, let's talk about the market currently. So there are a lot of customers who are not in hurry. They want to go for S4 HANA, but maybe they're not saying, okay, we want in 2, 3 months or 6 months. Let's say they are just exploring. Okay, they are using classic GL accounting, for example, and they are just exploring. So what should be our recommendation to these customers? Okay, don't go for S4 HANA as of now, but at least go for new GL accounting, so that whenever you decide to go for S4 HANA accounting, you are already ready with new GL accounting. But if a customer is in hurry, if a customer is saying, I want to implement S4 HANA as soon as possible, in that case, maybe we can recommend this approach. Okay, but definitely moving from classic GL accounting to S4 HANA accounting is possible, but it is little bit difficult than directly moving from new GL accounting to S4 HANA accounting. Okay, now you are clear, Akash, Mahesh, both. Sandeep, Ujay, any questions here?
Yes, Surya.
Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, so this was about classic GL versus new GL. So any questions related to classic or new GL functionalities before I go to my next last topic, which is MRP lab. Okay, let's talk about MRP live. Now this topic is more of PP, okay, from production planning or maybe related to logistics, but we just need to understand. Any idea what is MRP? Anybody has? Definitely not the practical knowledge, but do you know at least what exactly is MRP?
Material requirement planning.
Okay, yes, material requirement planning. What is the purpose of material requirement planning? Any idea what is a why do we need MRP? This is very important functionality for companies who are product based. Maybe manufacturing companies, maybe retailers. The MRP is very important for them. And normally this is carried out in SD, MM, PP, the integration. Whenever you create a new sales order, system checks in the background whether the quantity is available or not. If the quantity is not available, it will not confirm the order. It will not confirm the quantity, right? That is also part of MRP. So what is the purpose of MRP? Let's take this as example. Let's take a simple example. A mobile shop. Okay, this mobile shop is having the brands of Samsung, they have Apple, and let's say they have what else? Oppo. Okay, so let's say they are dealing with these three brands. Okay, and let's say they are only dealing with one product. Okay, so within Samsung there is only one model that they have. Within Apple also they have one model, and Oppo also they have one model. Now, if you visit a shop and you are full interested in buying Samsung mobile, you visited a shop and shopkeeper said, no, we already are out of stock for this material. We don't have the stock available. Now, there are two negative things about this. First one, the shop has uh, lost his customer, right? Whatever profit margin he could have got, he is not going to get that profit margin. And second is, as a customer, it is now possible that the next time I will not go to that shop because I will assume that he is just having the big shop, but whenever you reach and ask him for a particular material, he is always out of stock. So these are the two negative things which can happen. So first of all, you will lose the business, and second, you will also lose the uh, reputation in the market. Okay, and that is the reason you need to make sure that there is sufficient stock available, so that if a customer comes and gives you the order, you have that stock available always. So what can be done in order to avoid this? What can be done so that whenever a customer comes, he is not returning back? So let's say this shop mobile shop vendor, he will make sure that 10 is a minimum quantity which is always available in his stock. Okay, and whenever the quantity goes below 10, he quickly gives the order to the vendor so that on the next day itself the material is available before a new customer comes and asks for the mobile. Right, so this is one example of MRP. You are making sure that the right material is available at the right time. Okay, so I'm keeping it very simple. I don't want to go into the manufacturing setup where MRP is like multiple materials and all. So with this example, now let's assume there is a manufacturing company. This manufacturing company is getting thousands of orders in a day. Okay, this manufacturing company is getting thousands of orders in a day. Now, for every order, MRP has to be performed in the background, right? So the problem with current MRP, when we say MRP on ECC is very good when it comes to functionality. So there is no problem with the functionality. The problem is the speed at which the materials are planned. Okay, so problem is speed. So for an example, in some of the companies, it takes more than 8 hours to execute MRP. Okay, so now understand, if it is taking 8 hours to execute MRP, how will the salesperson confirm to the customer that the material is available or not? Okay, and that is the reason SAP came up with something called as MRP Live. What is MRP Live? This is a new functionality which will bring the time to around 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so from 8 hours to 10 to 15 minutes. That is the whole uh, idea behind this MRP lab functionality. So normally the transactions that our logistics counterparts were using in ECC were MD01, MD02. These were the three transactions that we will use in order to execute the MRP. But in MRP lab, there is a new transaction available called as MD01 and single transaction.